What you're about to hear is recorded a few hours before I was to leave Toronto after 5 amazing weeks.
Meet Palle Bo, a digital nomad from Denmark on an epic journey around the world. At the age of 50, he made a bold decision. He sold everything, his house, his car, his furniture, and set out with a quest to visit every single country in the world, documenting everything along the way.
Here I meet Paul Lam, a young guy from this area that I met in Chiang Mai in Thailand. Well, he's actually staying in London. Well, that is London, a little bit west of Toronto. But he borrowed his mom's car and picked me up downtown.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
You're so pro. I wish I had that. Man, you're so professional.
No, I mean, I've just been picked up by... Can I call you a friend?
Yes. You've been friends since Chiang Mai.
Oh, that's right. There's sort of a habit with you, Paul. Whenever I'm about to leave a place, you're the last person I see. We met in Chiang Mai just the day before
you left.
I left.
Yeah.
And did you just arrive at the time?
I did just arrive.
Yeah,
I think it was like 2 weeks.
So we just missed each other. We met that afternoon, and then I left, and you stayed there for 3 months.
3 months, yeah, loved it.
What made you go?
You know what? Like in November, like I was saying off the record a little bit, like I was so frustrated with my job. I was working a corporate job, and I was working here in Toronto actually, and I was making. I'll give you like full numbers and everything. I was making $40,000, but with Canadian and everything, about $32,000, and I could barely get by, and I didn't like that feeling of like making $1 and spending $2 kind of deal. So I sold everything because I heard Chiang Mai is like the hottest place to go, and then I took off and.
How did you hear? Because I heard the same thing.
So the thing was, I started a podcast in June, all right, last year. And
was it because of Johnny?
No, it wasn't because of Johnny, but like it was just because I wanted to interview entrepreneurs and stuff. Because at January last year, around this time, I wanted to go an entrepreneurial route. I wanted to live a lifestyle where I'm independent. I don't want to be, in a cubicle all the time. So I had to do research. So I started a podcast collecting data on different. Because like it seems like when you have a podcast, everybody is willing to jump onto a podcast episode with you. So do you know what I mean? So like I was interviewing digital nomads. Johnny was part of it actually, but he mentioned Chiang Mai. But like him and a few other digital nomads and entrepreneurs say that this is how they started out.
And for the people listening who don't know who Johnny is, Johnny FD does the Travel Like a Boss podcast, and I had him on my podcast, and I was on his as well, and. And I called him the godfather of digital nomads, and he kind of liked that title. But he's one of the guys that's really a true digital nomad, and he's been in Chiang Mai for a very long time. Originally from San Francisco, as far as I remember, and a cool guy, and he does a lot for the community.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's how I met Chiang, Johnny as well too. I heard through the grapevine and stuff like that, but he is pretty much, when you search up Chiang Mai one way or another, you're gonna find Johnny FD in there, and which is kind of cool. I like it. He's such a really nice guy too as well. Like I really enjoy chatting with him a few times, and his mentality on things, right? So it's really, really cool. Yeah, so like what happened was, after that I was just interviewing digital nomads and gathering data of how to run an online business and create income online and stuff. So I felt like I gathered enough data, and I just sold everything, sold my car, sold everything, and just saved up and just took off to Thailand and just started my journey from there.
Were you able to make money while you were there, enough to support yourself? I know it's cheap to live in Chiang Mai.
Yeah, so the thing was, like, I didn't, 3 months is not enough, quite honestly. So I didn't make money there, but I had enough valuable connections and information and everything that's why I came back to Canada, so that way, because doing podcasts at 3 a.m. in the morning was kind of tough. I don't know, but that was the other reason. But came back here, and now still living off that, but I'm building now everything up slowly, and it's so good because like as much as I, very millennial of me, I want things to happen yesterday. I want things to go viral as of like last week and stuff, right? So it's like, ugh. But like a lot of stuff, it's just patience, right? It takes time to build a following. It takes time to like just build like a drop shipping store. It takes time to build a podcast. It's all these.
So what's your plan? Where do you make the money? Is the plan for drop shipping or the podcast? Or?
So it's all trial and error. So quite honestly, I'm going to launch my first ebook May 30th. And the ebook is going to be about overcoming adversity and how it's your greatest teacher. And that's going to be my first thing that's going to be out. And then...
What's going on with that truck? The horn, he's blowing the horn. Make sure that we don't miss it. Yeah.
But so like just the ebooks that's going to be up and running, and then afterwards I'm going to be launching an online course about mindset shifts, because after going through all this and then realizing that a lot of people find it very difficult what I did. I left a corporate 9-to-5 job and took the leap of faith, courageously jumped into the unknown basically, and then I'm fine from it. But a lot of people would rationalize and think too much, and they back up because like they either make a pretty good living or they're very comfortable with where they are, right? So I feel like mindset shifts and is the first step to even taking the step forward into yourself, right? So this is what my online course will later on be about, and then it's like experimenting, right? So it's all about that. Pretty much.
That's amazing. How old are you?
27.
Yeah, well,
quite old, huh?
Yeah, but I'm 52. Imagine being my age and just dropping everything and leaving. People say, I wish I could do that, but why not? Most people, of course, not all people, but a lot of people, they can work remotely.
You know what? It's so true, because I feel like it's such a mindset thing, because it doesn't even matter what age you are, personally, in my opinion. If you have a house, Airbnb, people do this all the time. They generate income through that, and they just take off and go to travel around the world. Or, for me, like I have no family, I don't have kids or anything. I'm not married or anything. So it was quite easy for me, right, to take off and jump into, the unknown. But again, like it was just, I feel like if there's a will, like if there is definitely a way, right? If you continuously increase your mindset and look for the answer, you will find it. It's there.
Yeah. So the ebook, is that something you plan to sell, or is it a giveaway as a promotion, or what's the plan with that?
Yeah, so the ebook is going to be on Kindle Publishing, and it was just my first thing that I ever wrote, and I'm really nervous about it because it's so vulnerable. It's a story of, each chapter has a story of me between 2012 to 2016, how I was going through layoffs, and I just, left my 9-to-5 job, and car crash involved. I think I was held at gunpoint too one time.
No.
Yeah. And breakups too, like really bad breakups. Like a lot of things happens sequentially for whatever reason, those weird years, and then I came out as a better person from it, because I firmly believe that, again, like adversity can be your greatest teacher.
Yeah, and that's stories that most people can relate to. Maybe not the gunpoint thing. What happened there?
You know what? It was just in the morning, my mom and dad and myself were at home, and just 4 guys knocked on our door, and they rushed in with armed guns and everything, and asked, and just robbed us, and looked around for like cash and all valuable belongings and stuff, and I was held at gunpoint for half the day, and it was just it was half the day, and it was quite
whatever goes through your mind in those hours.
You know what? It's unreal how quickly you go blank, and then once you come into, because like it's through the adrenaline rush, you don't really know what's going on until you finally calm down and then breathe. And then by the time that I came to realize that I was being held at gunpoint, I had to like reevaluate my life at that time. I remember the date too. It was like March 28th, and I was thinking to myself, like, I'm not gonna make it through March 29th. I'm gonna die. And this guy was gonna blow my head off, and I'm just done. I'm done. And I promised myself that somehow my thought process just kept going and going, and eventually I kept thinking to myself, you know what? If I make this through, I'm gonna be the best person I can be and go after everything I've always wanted in life and impact everybody along the way. I can have it all. Because life is too short. Because like I'm about to die, and it was just the scariest moment ever. It's once you come into this realization, it's so powerful that because like now you come after everything and then nothing really matters at this point. Not your fears, your excuses, nothing really holds you back anymore, right? You just go at it. I think that's a parking spot down there, but you just nothing holds you back anymore.
Oh.
All right, so
Wow.
yeah. Okay, gotta go down.
So you're taking me for what kind of food?
Poutine. I'm surprised you. Like I said, I'm surprised you haven't tried it yet. I've never been down here. What's it? Staff parking? Is there parking? There it is. So we park our car here and then we just go back up.
Cool.
And then we just passed it over there.
Yeah.
Oh,
What was that?
that was me. What's that?
So Paul, we almost broke your mom's car going into that parking garage and ended up parking in the street and then we went to have the what was it called?
Poutine.
Poutine.
Or Poutine, or depending where you're from.
Okay,
Quebec.
so it's a Quebec thing mostly.
It's a Quebec French mostly. That's where it's originated.
But it's basically French fries and gravy and cheese.
Oh.
And you had the hangover of the hardcore version, and I wasn't allowed to get that because I'm a rookie.
No, it's funny because like that was like the first time I ever tried that one, but like
Was that bacon in yours?
that was bacon.
I am so envious.
I'm sorry, I should have got you that one.
But you and the guy said no. Start with the regular one.
Next time I'll buy you the hangover.
I'm from Denmark. Bacon is our thing. You ever heard of Danish bacon? No.
No,
No. It's world famous.
Okay. I think I'm gonna make a trip over and we're gonna go and you're gonna take me and gonna let me try some of that.
Yeah.
But
so where were we about who you are? You wrote this ebook and you plan to do some workshops and different kinds of stuff.
Yeah. I love it. No, you know what? Yeah, so I'm gonna be launching the ebook, and then I'm gonna be launching a online course as well too, surrounding the mindset shifts and everything to help other millennials or individuals who are just frustrated with their corporate 9 to 5 to like just tackle on life.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like people are playing way too small in life and not taking enough risk. And not in a bad way, right? But like more, take risk on themselves, right? And just take a bet, because like I'm telling you, when I was going through my corporate 9 to 5 job, and I had visions of me being 80 years old, laying on my deathbed, and picturing all the times that I had been at my cubicle and talking about with my coworker and his Yorkie problems, that he just had issues with that. I just couldn't do it. I just wanted to just make my 80-year-old self proud.
Yeah.
I really did. And
That's a good vision. Yeah.
and you know what? And not wonder why I didn't take the chance when I still had it, right? So, life is just way too short in my opinion, because like being held at gunpoint and just like I said, it really puts things into like what I once thought was like a really big thing, like a big problem, was just completely just minuscule now compared to like the whole, like all the grand scheme of things, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I want to tailor this course around this. It's gonna be my first thing. It's gonna be fun because like I care a lot about the value, not necessarily about the money, but more about the value and the more lives I changed, because that's all I really wanted to do after when I was held at gunpoint.
But to make a buck on the side would be okay.
Oh, definitely. Oh yeah.
You're listening to the Radio Vagabond podcast. Before we continue, I want to remind you that I have a Facebook page where I share a lot of thoughts, pictures, and videos. You'll find it by going to facebook.com/PalaRadioVagabond. If we should encourage people to buy this book, why should they buy it, and where can they buy it?
So why they should buy is that, this book, the only message I wanted to have people get from this book was that, adversity at the time, whatever anyone is going through, it feels like your world is crumbling. And then afterwards, it will pass, and you will look in hindsight, be like, you know what, I became a better person because of this adversity. If it didn't happen, I wouldn't have, all the things that in this book, it's all my own experience, it's my own adversity. And if none of these happened, I would have just sat in my cubicle working, saving for retirement and pensions, and just, later on, and I was thankful for all these things that happened. But again, like at the time, it felt like the world was crumbling. And so I just hope people will get the message where like they will get past it. Even though you may feel like you're at rock bottom, you have the strength to pull it out yourself. And Amazon, Kindle Publishing, they can buy it on there.
Okay, I will put a link in the show notes directly to the book.
Sweet.
So you do this podcast. Is it only digital nomads you interview, or what's the podcast about?
So the name of the podcast is called the Path Hunters Podcast, and it's really cool because like it's about, I don't interview digital nomads alone. I interview entrepreneurs, athletes, people, creators, people who are just in their place of passion and in their zone, right? And I interview them not specifically on what they do today, but more on their process, because it's all about the process, never the end goal. You always hear about like, Instagram's like the $1 billion company that was sold to Facebook, but never hear about like the sweat, the tears, like the number of Americanos at Starbucks that you drank, and like all these stuff that really, really like is missing. Because like to go after your dreams, we both know that it is hard, but it's definitely worth it. But there is a process involved, right? And a lot of people don't tell a lot about that kind of stuff. And so this is where I interview digital nomads and entrepreneurs and stuff about this kind of stuff and their process mainly. And then we talk about what they specialize in, who they are today, and any like tips and hacks and everything, that any takeaways that they can give away as well too. So this is what's so fun. And the name itself is so special to me. It's called the Path Hunters. And
you're so productive. You put out 2 episodes a week.
Yeah.
I am so jealous.
It's definitely not easy, but it's so fun because I have a huge passion for this podcast, because like the name itself is more about like everybody has their own path to walk. The day that you were born, you're given a blueprint in life, a path that you have to walk. But somewhere along the line, in different stages in everyone's life, they realize that, they didn't ask for this in the very beginning. So it's up to them to intentionally get out and go after their life and find the answer themselves, right? It's active. It's a path hunter, right? You're being a hunter. You're seeking the knowledge, and this is why that's why I say it's active, because like you're being intentional, right? You're going out and doing your thing, and 2 episodes a week is, one's the interview. It's like about an hour long, and then this second one it's more like a short motivational stuff. I talk about like updates on what's going on in my life, things that I've been dealing with, because like again, like I always talk about, like there's always ups and downs and like this kind of lifestyle, and it's not easy. Not everyone can do it. Some people, I feel like are afraid, but I encourage you to, if you have like the curiosity, to go do it, and never give up, because again, like you won't regret it for sure. Like I don't regret any of this. I can eat like garbage on the street if I wanted to, and just continue on this road and keep going, and I have this passion for it. But I talk about all these kind of stuff in the short second episode as well too. Yeah.
A little bit about your background. Your parents are Vietnamese?
Yeah, so they're Vietnamese immigrants. They moved over they came over here in Canada around the 90s. And
after the war had ended, but that was some years after. Yeah.
So I think the war ended in 70, 79, 78, around there, and I don't remember. But during the time when my mom was growing up, like the governments were amalgamating, things were happening, and there were so many unknowns, right? And my mom and my dad, they had to leave Vietnam because they weren't sure what was going to happen. And coming over here, like this is like, like a utopia for them. Like they come over here, they have a high hopes and everything. So this is where I was born and everything. I was born and raised here, and a lot of people get a little confused because I'm Asian and Vietnamese and I speak English perfectly and stuff in Thailand. It was quite interesting, but I enjoy it very much in that sense. Yeah, so that's pretty much my background. Like I went to school for like business. I was actually that poster boy that I was just talking to you about earlier. Like I did the corporate 9 to 5. I went to school. I got good grades. Not really good grades. I was like a C and D student, but
You got grades.
I got grades. I got by. But you know, I did exactly what society outlined for me, and I was gonna follow it through all the way to the end.
Yeah.
And then I got laid off. That was the first thing that happened.
Why did you get laid off?
I was working for a small insurance company at the time, and it was quite interesting. It was new, and you know, when you're new, freshly graduated, you say yes to everything. And working, and I realized it was so small that they couldn't keep up with their employees. Like they couldn't keep up with their paychecks with their employees and everything. And they laid me off because they laid my whole team off actually. But I was, you know.
It's more easy when it's the whole team.
It's easier to swallow when it's the whole team. It's like we're in this together now. So like, you know where they always say misery loves company, right? So, yeah. So like I was laid off, and it was like that was the first first event that made me think differently at that point.
Yeah.
And it was quite interesting. And then I have this whole entire spiel after like I got rehired by the same company and then laid off again. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, you know what? I'm sick of this. I'm just like sick of this. And I was walking. I was funny because it was around here. I was walking around Toronto, and I was so depressed because I was like, what happened? What happened? I wasn't sure what was gonna. You know, I did exactly what my parents told me, what society told me to do. Went to school, got good grades, did my thing, and I didn't have a safe and stable job. And I had to ask better questions at that point. I kept being a victim. Mm-hmm. And this is the difference between shifting in mindsets between a victim and then moving forward. I kept saying like, this is like, you know, this is the government's fault, or this is whatever's fault. But it takes so much more to own up to your own things. Like, you know, maybe it was me and stuff like that. And I asked, and then for some reason, I ended up at a bookstore. I walked around and ended up outside a bookstore, and I was just like, you know what? I want to know how people makes money. I want to know how does this young 20-year-old driving a Lamborghini, you can tell what my mindset was like at the time, but how does this 20-year-old drive this Lamborghini and stuff? Like, if he can do it, I can do it. I just need to know how. What is the secret? And this was like the better questions I kept asking after that, right? So I was asking more like, how can I do it now? Right? And where can I find this answer, instead of beating myself up like this is the government's fault, and you know, this is the small company's fault, or like, you know, I mean, this is like my mom's fault or whatever. I blamed everyone else but myself, right? And that was the first starting point. So I tried everything. I walked into the bookstore and I read so many books in that year. I think I read 70 books in 1 year, and it was just constantly consuming knowledge. I did stock trading. It was just more trial and error at that point. Stock trading, figuring out like what amasses wealth, because wealth obviously, you know, is associated to money and stuff, and like concepts. And I found Tony Robbins' book that was really helpful, and then realized that
Unleash the Power.
No, Awaken the Giant Within.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that book really put things in perspective. That book really changed my life, because it made me realize that everything in your world is because the way that you think about it, right? Everything in the world is attracted. You know, you attract all these kind of things into your life. You attract the layoffs. You attract the bad relationships because like it's you. But if you choose to think better thoughts and, you know, and have an abundance mindset, you'll attract all these things into your life as well too. Like I'm telling you, like, you know, I think like maybe 12 months ago, 13 months ago, I wouldn't have thought I would be sitting here with you and other digital nomads and talking about this kind of stuff, and have my own podcast and interview like New York best time sellers, and starting my own ebook and my own online course. It's unbelievable, because I come from an abundance mindset now. I don't come from a victim anymore and a scarcity mindset. You know, you have to own up. The first step is just owning your own, you know, owning your own, that everything in your life is because of your fault.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like that mindset.
It's a tough thing to grasp, but once you grasp it, It's like it's very very easy to. It's very like easy to understand afterwards, and it's just literally from there. Like, again, if it wasn't for all those adversities that happened in my life, I wouldn't have been where I am today. Because this is why like I find that success breeds greed and arrogance and ego and stuff, whereas like your failures, and I don't even consider these as failures or anything like that, but more like life lessons, more adversity, right? So I think I value these things the most, and I talk more about that than my wins, because it's so much more important, because I want to paint that picture where I want to let everyone know where I came from in a way, right? So parents were poor. They came over to this country with like, not even though I speak English, they built themselves, a business, and they wanted something safe and stable and help me out and everything, right? So now here, they sacrificed everything. Once you know this, right, and then it feels like it's like your duty now to go and be the best person that you can be now. Yeah. So cool.
If you want to hear Paul and me chat some more, it will be on Paul's podcast.
Yeah.
So this is all we have time for in this one. I try to keep mine short.
I'm sorry. You gave him the mic to me. I wanted. When I go, I go.
Yeah. So and this is also the last from Toronto. I am leaving tomorrow morning. So after Paul and I we've done chatting, I'm going home to pack, and then I'm off to my next stop, which will be Quebec City, and I'm so looking forward to that. Woo. This episode is brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. It's a website that helps you find the best prices on hotels and guest houses and hostels around the world in one simple search. Hotels25.com. It's best price guaranteed.
If you like this podcast, please subscribe in iTunes or the podcast app on your smartphone. You can see pictures, watch videos, and read much more on the radiovagabond.com. Palais can be reached for interviews and public speaking gigs on mail at theradiovagabond.com.
And then it's time to leave Toronto, but there will be one more episode where I ask a handful of the locals what is the best and worst part about living in Toronto. My name is Palle Beau. See ya.